made in pairs, and the twin column in Central Park in New York City. Now there is a mistake with the needle in London. Look at the bottom, you can see the statues. They are facing the wrong way. They should be looking away from the needle and guarding it. They are looking at it and they are admiring it. The mistake wasn't noticed until the concrete had dried and they were told to leave it and hope nobody would notice what they done wrong. So they should be looking the other way. Now for the people who have just come onto the top deck, ladies at the back, there are seats inside here. Look, come and sit down here, it's very comfortable. My lady, okay. There's a nice table here with some nice comfortable chairs. Okay. Now the bridge here is Waterloo. This bridge is better known in London as the Ladies' Bridge, built by the ladies of London during the Second World War. Whilst the men were at war fighting, the girls at home done all the construction, and the bridge here was one of them. And I'm sure we must agree, gentlemen, the ladies have made an excellent job. So well done, girls, well done. As we go through the bridge on our left-hand side, we have Somerset House, built over 200 years ago for the Dukes and Earls of Somerset. For many years, this building stored a birth, death and marriage certificate, taken over by the Coulthard Art Gallery and King's College. On the right of the boat, we've got a building with an advertisement. That's our National Theatre. Inside that building are 3 separate halls. The main one is the Olivier, named after Laurence Olivier, the founder of that building. That building is voted every single year to be the ugliest building on the River Thames. And I think we can all agree and say it is an ugly building. It looks more like a car park, if you ask me. But it is very nice inside. Now, ladies and gentlemen, just on the left, can you see this boat on the left? It's called the St. Catherine. It's got the black roof with the glass. That used to be the royal barge on the river. Many years ago, she was a very well-kept steam yacht and carried the royal family. In front of us on the left, the large ship with the yellow funnel, that is called the Wellington. It used to be part of the New Zealand Navy. Today that ship is a floating livery hall. It's a drinking club for retired sea captains. Now you must have been the captain of a ship at sea for more than 25 years to be a member of that club on the river. The stone archway at the back of the ship, that's called Temple Arch. And that's the official boundary line between the City of London and the City of Westminster. See where the red bus is? Look in front, there's a silver dragon on a pedestal, one on either side, silver dragons. They mark the entrance to the City of London. Not a lot of people realise this when they come to London, but we do have some lovely beaches. Look on the right, a tropical golden sandy beach. Look at that, folks. So if you fancy a little stroll down the beach, this is the one I recommend. It doesn't get any better than that. Then again, it couldn't get any worse, really. So it's not too bad. Stay to the right, we've got a red building, a glass roof and tower. Stamford Wharf used to be a cold storage meat warehouse, converted into riverside apartments. The glass roof up there is a restaurant, the Oxo Tower, said to be one of the top 10 restaurants in London. Look up at the windows in the tower, they spell Oxo. Where they made the gravy, the famous stock cube. It was made in this building on our right, the Oxo building. On the left of the boat, we've got some work taking place. This is all for the new sewer system in London. I will explain in more depth about that later. First of all, behind the crane, the red building that looks like a church, Zion College, a school and study for the clergymen in London. Building next door with the green sloping roof, the Old City of London School. Semi-circular building is Unilever House, famous soap, detergent and food manufacturer. And then look over the bridge, a lovely picture of St. Paul's, a fine view from the river. Approaching Blackfriars now. This is a road bridge. It was opened in 1869. The bridge is being painted at the moment. Can you see on the left and here on the right they've repainted these arches, and they'll be painting the rest of the bridge by the end of the year. As we come through Blackfriars Bridge, in between the two bridges here, you'll see some red columns. Now these red columns carried the very first railway over the Thames. It was called the Chatham and Dover Steam Railway Line. They took away the top of the bridge, it became unsafe. They could not remove the columns, the other bridges would fall down, undermining the foundations of the bridges on each side. They've extended the railway onto the columns. Can you see where they've made the bridge wider, using the remains of the old bridge? If you look at the water, you can see the mud is being churned. Can you see the churned mud in the water? And that's why the river looks this colour. The tide's continuously churning the mud, and that's what it is. If you take a glass of that water and let it settle, the sand and the mud will settle to the bottom, and the water is very clear and clean looking. This river is not polluted, it's just very churned by the river tide. Some people say you could even drink the water from the river. You will die, but you could drink it if you're very thirsty. Now look, just make sure you ask this. Now on the left we have the dome, the Golden Cross, St Paul's Cathedral, the masterpiece of Sir Christopher Wren. It took 35 years to build, it was completed in 1710.
Take a picture though.
The height of St Paul's is 365 feet.
Yeah, photo.
That is 1 foot for every day of the year. Buried inside St Paul's you'll find the tombs of Admiral Lord Nelson, the Duke of Wellington and the architect Sir Christopher Wren. Above the dome you can see the people at the top. That is the Golden Gallery, a fine view over London from the top of St Paul's. On the right, the building with the tall chimney is the Tate Gallery of Modern Art, the largest modern art gallery in the world, the Tate Modern. And the bridge ahead of us now is the Millennium Bridge, or better known as the Wibbly Wobbly Bridge. This bridge was opened on a Saturday morning by the Queen. It was closed the same afternoon by the police for being unsafe. So many people walked over the bridge it started to move. People were falling over as they went across. So they had to shut the bridge down and re-strengthen it, renaming it the Wibbly Wobbly Bridge. And some of you might remember it from Harry Potter. It flew underneath Harry Potter. We have the Globe Theatre of William Shakespeare on the right. This is the only building to have a thatched roof since the Great Fire of London. During the summertime you can watch a Shakespearean play. Plays are performed in a traditional way. There's no microphones or stage lighting. It's all done as it used to be done during the time of William Shakespeare. Shakespearean plays were performed here for the very first time. Shakespeare came to London from Stratford-upon-Avon, and his plays were performed in this area for the first time. Many years ago, before we had bridges, you were ferried from one side to the other. See the old steps on the right, Southwark Causeway. You came down the steps, you would call for the local waterman, he would row you across the river. Give the school kids away from that there. They're well-behaved kids. They're all nice kids. Some kids give us lots of abuse from the river shore, but they're quite nice. They was nice, weren't they? There are some good kids about. Now, going back to the waterman of the river, so even to this day, you must be a licensed Thames waterman. We serve an apprenticeship of 6 years to gain our freedom of the River Thames. And to carry passengers or cargo, you must be a freeman, a licensed waterman of this river. On the right, we have the pub Anchor Tavern. The pub is over 300 years old. Mentioned in the diary of Dr. Johnson and Samuel Pepys, nice old London pub, the Anchor Tavern. Cannon Street Bridge. Now when we was at Westminster, the tide wasn't moving, it was slack if you remember. Look at the columns to the bridge now, and you can see the tide is starting to flow. The tide will increase in speed by maybe 3 times what you see now, and the tide will rise in for the next 5.5 days. As we go through the bridge, we look on the right, we have the old warehouses. These have been converted into riverside apartments. The lower part of Pickford's Wharf is a pub, the old Thames side inn. In the dockway on our right there is a replica of Sir Francis Drake's ship, the Golden Hind. Drake was the first Englishman to sail around the world. He did so, it took him 3 years with a crew of 80 men. The ship, you can see, it's not a model, it's a real working ship. It's been around the world twice, a museum in the dock, the Golden Hind. Drake was not an explorer, he was a licensed pirate. He was given permission from the Queen to loot as many ships as he could. And he was in fact pretty good at that, and he returned back with lots of gold and treasure. Southwark Cathedral there dates back to the 14th century. It's a lovely building, Southwark Cathedral. And now we have London Bridge. Now, if you've got your camera, the name of the bridge is carved into the stonework on the left and right. This is London Bridge. The next one is Tower Bridge, okay? If you don't believe me, look, they've written it on the side there, look. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the 5th London Bridge in 2,000 years. When the Romans came here, they built the first London Bridge, they called it London. There was a medieval bridge here for over 500 years with a church, shops and houses. The London Bridge before that one, it was sinking and it was sold to an American businessman. The old London Bridge today is in America, in Lake Havasu in Arizona. That is where you'll find the old London Bridge. Have you seen it? You've seen it there? Okay, so that was here originally, sir, and taken to America. Now, I don't know if you know the story. The man who built the old London Bridge, he never came here to see it, and he thought that London Bridge was the one in front. He built the wrong bridge, apparently. I don't know if anyone's heard that before. On the left-hand side, we have a yellow brick building. That is the old Billingsgate Fish Market. Today they use this for corporate events. There's lots of different events taking place. A massive queue of people here, so something going on today. It was a fish market, Billingsgate on the left. See the tall building behind Billingsgate where the people are at the top? That's number 20 Fenchurch Street. The top of the building is the Sky Garden London. Can you see the people at the top? That viewing platform is completely free. You can go up the top and they're completely free. The Sky Garden London. Ahead of us and on the right hand side now we have the warship, the HMS Belfast. Wow. Now the Belfast ship was built in 1938 in the Highland and Wolf shipyard in Belfast. She saw action during the Second World War. She was the flagship for the United Nations in the Korean War. Today the ship is a museum. You can visit and explore all 9 decks. You go down in the engine room, you go right up on the captain's bridge, give them a wave, that's it. And it's a very nice day out. If you like naval history, wartime history, very, very interesting on the way.
You take a picture of that.
Ahead of us and on the left hand side, on the left we have the Tower of London. Now the oldest part of the tower is in the centre where you see the 4 roofs and the flag. That is the Norman Keep or the White Tower, built in the reign of William the Conqueror, 1078. The building has served London as a royal palace. It's been a prison, a mint and observatory, most famously a place of imprisonment, torture and execution. Now have a look over on the river's wall and you can see above the bricked up arch, entry to the Traitor's Gate. Now years ago if you were found guilty of treason to the crown, you were taken through Traitor's Gate. So you were rowed from Westminster, where I showed you earlier, you were rode through Traitors Gate and you were then imprisoned or executed inside. Inside the building today, crown jewels are on display, guarded by the yeoman wardens, the beefeaters at the tower. A very famous man to go through Traitors Gate in the year 1305. A man from Scotland by the name of William Wallace, Braveheart, or maybe better known to some of us as Mel Gibson, if you've seen the film. But I'm sure many of us have seen that movie, and what a brave man he was. Ahead of the boat we've got Tower Bridge, the gateway to London. Tower Bridge was opened for the first time on the 30th of June in 1894. Now the centre part of this bridge, it does open like a double-sided drawbridge to allow big shipping into this part of the river. If you wave to someone on Tower Bridge and they wave back, it's said to bring you 5 years of good luck and happiness. So do try and get a wave back. Are they waving?
Baby, can you take my phone? Put it in your bag, please.